Tonight, the talk is Sutta Guide to Paths and Fruits. There are two parts to the talk. Tonight, we will discuss how to get stream entry, first path, and first fruit, according to the suttas. Firstly, what is these paths and fruits, in case some of you don't know? In the Anguttara Nikaya, it is mentioned that there are 9 types of individuals in the world. The first is a Putujana, an ordinary person. Then the other 8 are Aryans. First path, first fruit, second path, second fruit, third path, third fruit, and fourth path, fourth fruit. The fourth fruit person is an enlightened being, and there are 3 categories: a Sammasambuddha, a Pacceka Buddha, and an Arahant disciple. So, you have 1 ordinary worldling and 8 types of Aryans. Now, why do we want to attain the paths and the fruits? When we attain the paths and the fruits, we become an Arya. And an Arya is very different from a Putujana, an ordinary worldling. Because the ordinary worldling will go around samsara, the round of rebirths, endlessly. And in that long journey, he will fall into the 3 woeful planes many, many times, uncountable times. We can take rebirth in 5 destinations. 2 are happy destinations of rebirth, heaven and human realm. And 3 are woeful destinations, woeful planes of rebirth. That is the ghost realm, the animal realm, and hell. So samsara is very frightening and very painful because of the 3 woeful planes of rebirth. Even the worst is the hell. Secondly is the animal, and thirdly is the ghost realm. Even the ghost realm is very frightening and painful. As we know, if we have a dream about ghosts, we are very frightened. Imagine if you were in the ghost realm for a long time. So, we don't want to fall into the 3 woeful realms of rebirth. That's why we want to become an Arya. Because once you become an Arya, even the lower stage, the first path, you will never ever be reborn into the 3 woeful planes. In which case, samsara, the round of rebirths, is not so frightening, is not so painful, it's not so much suffering. So, that is why we want to attain the paths and the fruits. Before I go into the details, I like to apologize if in my talk I hurt any learned monks or nuns, because we all have our views and opinions, and sometimes we don't agree. However, I feel we have to explain according to the suttas, the original teachings of the Buddha, because the Buddha wants us to do so. In the Anguttara Nikaya 1.130, the Buddha said, monks, those monks who explain not Dhamma, that means fake Dhamma, as Dhamma, are acting for the harm of many people, the unhappiness of many people, for the ruin, the harm, and the suffering of many devas and humans. These monks generate much demerit and cause this true Dhamma to disappear. And then Anguttara Nikaya 1.140, the Buddha said, monks, those monks who explain not Dhamma as not Dhamma are acting for the welfare of many people, the happiness of many people, for the good, the welfare, and the happiness of many devas and humans. These monks generate much merit and cause this true Dhamma to perpetuate. So from here you can see the Buddha wants us to explain what is not Dhamma or fake Dhamma as not Dhamma. And if we do that, we not only create much merit for ourselves, but we preserve the true Dhamma. On the other hand, those monks who say what is not Dhamma is Dhamma, they bring about the harm of humans and devas, and they generate much demerit, bad karma, and also cause the true Dhamma to disappear. Now, what is the true Dhamma? When the Buddha was about to pass into Nibbana, he said, monks, after I am gone, take the Dhamma and the Vinaya that I have taught to be your teacher. So now that the Buddha is not with us, our true teacher is the Dhamma and the Vinaya. And what is the Dhamma? In the Anguttara Nikaya 4.180, the Buddha said, if any monks or any Sangha or any elder monk says that the Buddha taught such and such, the Buddha said we should not accept it and we should not reject it, but we should compare with the suttas. If it agrees with the suttas and the Vinaya, then you can take it to be the Buddha's words. But if it does not agree with the suttas and the Vinaya, then the Buddha said you can reject it. So it's very clear from this sutta that the true Dhamma is the suttas. The Buddha also said that his Dhamma will last 500 years, meaning that after 500 years it will be polluted. So within that 500 years after the Buddha's passing away, luckily we have Emperor Asoka. Emperor Asoka was a very fervent follower of the Buddha. So he erected on the roads these stone pillars, what we know as Asoka pillars, and on it were carved the words of the Buddha. Now after such a long time, they have dug up these Asoka pillars and they confirm that during the Emperor Asoka's time, which is about 250 years after the Buddha's passing away, that at that time there were only 5 Nikayas. The Digha Nikaya, the Majjhima Nikaya, Sangyutta Nikaya, Anguttara Nikaya. And then the last was the Khuddaka Nikaya. Khuddaka Nikaya means the small collection. Unfortunately, over the years, now it has become the great collection. A lot of books have been added. So only about 6 books are reliable, in the sense that they do not contradict the earlier 4 Nikayas. Even Venerable Bhikkhu Bodhi and Ajahn Brahm and Ajahn Thanissaro, all these famous monks, they have to conclude the only real, reliable source of the Buddha's teachings are these 5 Nikayas. Also, there are some monks who, even though they know that these 5 Nikayas are the earliest and reliable source of the Buddha's teaching, they like to refer to other books, later books. They admit it's later books, but they think it's useful to refer to these later books. But there is a sutta in the Digha Nikaya, sutta number 29, where the Buddha said that his teachings on the holy life are pure, perfect and complete. And the Buddha said, if you think you want to add to his words, you don't see his Dhamma. If you think you want to subtract from his words, you also don't see the Dhamma. In other words, the Buddha is saying that those later monks who write the later books, they don't see the Dhamma. If you don't see the Dhamma, you don't have the eye of the Dhamma, the vision of the Dhamma, the Dhamma Chakku. That means you are not an Arya, you are not even a first path attainer. So from this sutta, the Buddha is trying to tell us his teachings are perfect and complete. Don't look for other teachings. You can look at other teachings just to know, but you cannot rely on them. That's what the Buddha is trying to tell us. Don't rely on any other books except the 5 Nikayas. So the other thing that is a lot of people don't notice is that the Buddha said his teachings are perfect and complete. What does it mean? It means you cannot make it more complete. You cannot make it more perfect. In other words, all other Buddhas, their teachings cannot surpass our Buddha. Our Buddha is one of the most perfect Buddhas. In fact, when the Buddha went to the Brahma heavens and tried and converted the Mahabrahma and the other Brahmas, they were astounded by the Buddha's psychic powers. And Mahabrahma said, he has been in the heavens for so long, has never seen another ascetic with such great psychic powers as our Buddha, Buddha Gautama. And Venerable Sariputta, the Arahant, the one with the greatest wisdom, also said he believes there is no other Buddha more perfect than our Buddha Gautama. So we must realize there is no other teaching more perfect and complete than our Buddha Gautama. Even later Buddhas to come or past Buddhas, none of them can surpass our Buddha Gautama. At the most, they can only equal our Buddha Gautama. So this is very important. We must appreciate the Dhamma of our Buddha. Now in the suttas, it is said there is only one path to liberation. Of course, later books say things like there's 84,000 Dhamma doors. This contradicts the suttas. And the Noble Eightfold Path is also said to be Sila, Samadhi, Panya. And that is explained as the training in the Adi Sila. The first one, Sila, is training in the Adi Sila. The second one, Samadhi, is the training in the Adi Citta. And the third is the training in the Adi Panya, the higher wisdom. Now, so we want to know how to practice the Noble Eightfold Path to attain the paths and the fruits. This is explained in many suttas throughout the 5 Nikayas. But unfortunately, there is no one sutta that explains completely how to practice the Noble Eightfold Path. So we have to quote many suttas. It's very important to study many suttas because each sutta will explain from one angle. So if you study more suttas, you can see from different angles and understand much better. Now, in the Majjhima Nikaya 117, there's a very important sutta on how to practice the Noble Eightfold Path. We know the factors of the Noble Eightfold Path start with right view, and then right thoughts, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness or recollection, and right concentration. Now in the Majjhima Nikaya 117, the Buddha said, right view comes first. You must first attain right view to enter the Noble Eightfold Path, or the Aryan eight-factored path. There is no other way to enter the Noble Eightfold Path other than right view. And this sutta also says, after you get right view, that will bring you to right thoughts, and right thoughts will bring you to right speech, and then after that, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. So the Noble Eightfold Path has to be practiced in that sequence. Now, you can see once you attain right view, how is it you can have right thoughts? If you have right view, then your thoughts will be right thoughts, isn't it? It's quite natural, isn't it? And then once you have right view also and right thoughts, you will have right speech. Because when you want to speak, you have to think first, right? Speech depends on thinking. So you have right thoughts that will bring you to right speech. Also because of your right view and your right thoughts, you will also have right actions. You will not harm other beings, right? And then that will bring you to right livelihood. And then, so these 5 things come as a natural result of right view. And then after you understand the Dhamma, then you want to practice more, then you practice right effort, which is to cultivate wholesome states and get rid of unwholesome states. And then also you practice right mindfulness, and then eventually you right concentration. Now, when you get right view, what happens? There is a sutta in the Anguttara Nikaya 9.20, Velama Sutta. In that sutta, the Buddha said long ago he was a very rich Brahmin. And he did a lot of dana. So much dana, offerings, charity. The Buddha said that it amounted to like 84,000 buckets of gold, 84,000 buckets of silver, 84,000 buckets of precious stones, 84,000 cattle, 84,000 sheep, 84,000 chickens, 84,000 pigs, etc. And the food and the drinks that he gave flowed like the river, so much. But unfortunately, he said, at that alms offering, there was no one worthy of offerings, no one who purified the offering. Even more fruitful than that great alms offering that the Brahmin Velama gave, would it be to feed one person with right view. So the Buddha is saying he fed so many thousands of people, but they are all putujana, ordinary worldlings. Even if you have fed one Arya with right view, the merit would have been more. So once you attain right view, you have become an Arya. That means you will never fall into the 3 woeful plains again. And this person with right view is a first path attainer, a stream enterer, and also a sotapanna. Because once you attain the first path, it automatically turns to fruit a few years later on. But the Buddha said, before the path attainer dies, that path will turn to fruit naturally. So here you can see the condition to attain the first path or the first fruit is only right view. Once you attain right view, you have seen the Dhamma, you have understood the Dhamma, then you have become an Arya. Now there is a sutta in the Satipatthana Samyutta where a monk came to request the Dhamma, some brief Dhamma from the Buddha before he went into seclusion. He wanted to go and stay alone for many years. So he came to ask the Buddha for some brief teaching. And the Buddha wanted to teach him how to meditate. That means practice the 4 Satipatthana. Then the Buddha said, well then, monk, purify the very starting point of wholesome states. And what is the starting point of wholesome states? Virtue or moral conduct that is well purified, and view that is straight. Then monk, when your virtue is well purified and your view is straight, based upon virtue, established upon virtue, you should cultivate the 4 Satipatthana. So in other words, the Buddha is telling him, before you practice the 4 Satipatthana, you should have these 2 foundations. One is Sila, the other one is right view. Because to progress, you need Sila. If a person does not have Sila, he creates bad karma, harms other beings, and he will have remorse. And if a person has remorse, he's not happy. And if he's not happy within, inside, his mind cannot calm down. So he cannot progress in meditation. So Sila is the first foundation. The second one is right view. Right view is very important so that you will be able to progress on your own. If you don't have right view, you are going on the wrong way also, you don't know. You might be following some famous teacher, but the famous teacher may not have right view, but you don't know because you don't study the suttas. Right view, right view is important because some people, after they meditate, they may attain psychic powers. And if they don't have right view, when they get psychic powers, their ego balloons, and they may harm other people. So right view is necessary for many reasons. Now I come to Sutta Majjhima Nikaya 43. In this sutta, it is said there are only 2 conditions to attain right view. Only 2 conditions. One is the voice of another. That means somebody else teaching you the Dhamma. And the second condition is focus attention when you listen to the Dhamma. When you listen to the Dhamma, you're able to focus on what is being taught. Then only you can understand. If your mind cannot focus, your mind is very scattered. Even you listen to the best Dhamma, you cannot absorb, right? Just like you take a photo, your lens must be focused. So only 2 conditions is needed for right view, to become an Arya. The voice of another teaching you the Dhamma, and then focus attention. If we practice on our own, however hard you practice, you can never attain right view unless you hear the true Dhamma from a Sammasambuddha. Before the Buddha came into the world, there were many earnest, sincere practitioners in India. They want to get liberation and they are willing to sacrifice their life also. So they go to all kinds of methods of practice, including ascetic practices, what we call Khu Sing. And like our Buddha himself, our Buddha nearly killed himself practicing all these ascetic practices. But finally he realized. So it was only by recalling the teachings he heard from the Buddha Kassapa. After that only our Buddha became enlightened. So it's very important to hear the true Dhamma, otherwise you can never even become the first path attainer. So just now I said there were so many sincere yogis in India, practice until they attained psychic powers, but you could not find a single Sotapanna, a single first path attainer. But when the Buddha taught the Dhamma, many people understood and entered the stream, attained stream entry. Sometimes there were there was one occasion, 120,000 people. The Buddha preached to them, and the Buddha said all of them attained stream entry. Another time, 80,000 people listened to the Buddha. The Buddha spoke about the Four Noble Truths. All of them attained stream entry. Without the Buddha teaching the Dhamma, they practice on their own. You can never attain. So listening to the true Dhamma is so important. That will bring you to right view. In the Samyutta Nikaya 46.38, that's Bojjhanga Samyutta, it is said, the Buddha said, when monks, a noble disciple, listens to the Dhamma with eager ears, attending to it as a matter of vital concern, directing his whole mind to it, on that occasion the 5 hindrances are not present in him. On that occasion the 7 factors of enlightenment go to fulfillment by development. And what are the 5 hindrances that are not present on that occasion? The hindrance of sensual desire, the hindrance of ill will, the hindrance of sloth and torpor, the hindrance of restlessness and worry, the hindrance of doubt. So when we listen to the Dhamma, we must listen with eager ears, attending to it as a matter of vital concern, directing the whole mind to it. Then on that occasion, the 5 hindrances are not present. So you see, Yoniso Manasikara is a focused mind. When you listen to the Dhamma, you are totally attentive, totally eager to hear, concentrating your mind. And that because you concentrate your mind, the 5 hindrances are not there. And if you can do that long enough to understand the Dhamma, you will attain right view and hence stream entry. The other thing to notice is that when the Buddha talks about the 5 hindrances, he did not say sensual desire, ill will, sloth and torpor, restlessness and worry and doubt. The Buddha said the hindrance of sensual desire, the hindrance of ill will, etc. So it becomes a hindrance. These 5 things become a hindrance when they are strong and they obsess your mind, enslave your mind frequently. Then only they are considered hindrances. Otherwise, even you have them to a small degree, it does not. They do not obsess your mind. They are not considered a hindrance. So when you listen to the Dhamma with concentrated mind, on that occasion, the 5 hindrances are not there, and you can understand and get right view. Also, in the Anguttara Nikaya 2.31, it is said that 2 things contribute to knowledge or wisdom or insight. 2 things, not 1 thing. And what are the 2 things? Samatha and Vipassana. You need Samatha and Vipassana, 2 things together that will give you wisdom, give you knowledge, give you insight. So when we listen to the Dhamma with a concentrated mind, focused attention, that is Samatha, when you focus your mind to listen. And then when you listen, you digest the Dhamma, you absorb the Dhamma, that is Vipassana, contemplation. So Vipassana means contemplation, and Samatha means a concentrated mind, training your mind to be concentrated, focused. With these 2 conditions, then you can understand the Dhamma and attain right view. Another sutta is Samyutta Nikaya 55.5. In this sutta, it's a very important sutta. It is stated there are 4 factors for stream entry. They are called Sottapatti Yangani. 4 factors, if you practice 4 conditions, that will lead you to stream entry. And what are these 4 things? First one is association with true men, Sappurisa. True men are the men who understand the true Dhamma. The true Dhamma is called Sad Dhamma. The true men are called Sappurisa. True men are those who understand the original suttas of the Buddha and practice in accordance with the original suttas of the Buddha.